My name is Alex.
I'm Josh.
And today we are talking about Thug, Tony Hawk's Underground.
It's week 2. It's week 2, baby. Hawktober continues.
Hawktober, man. It's just getting better.
The party never stops.
This is our standard Tony Hawk formula with a lot more tutorialization. The first Tony Hawk game with a real story, that's cutscenes, voice acting. A ton of work has definitely gone into the story here. It's our first game to just break the mold and to have a fully fledged story, but retaining the mission-based structure of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. The major gameplay innovation comes in the form of getting off your board, and oh my gosh, talk about a game changer. This completely changes the game, really.
Sometimes in good ways, sometimes in bad. The walking does not always control how you want it, but it's still pretty neat.
Definitely switched it up, though. There are a lot of small improvements, like wall plants, as well as the addition of driving vehicles around huge open levels. But one we'll use the most is getting off our board and climbing around the rooftops and other level geometry. The game introduces you to these concepts by immediately giving you missions where you get off your board. Literally, the first mission is, hey, go climb on top of a house.
Eric lost his board, etc., etc. They threw it on the rooftops. Go climb the rooftops and get his board back.
The game also has multiple difficulties. First time we're seeing this, we got beginner, normal, and sick.
There's also 2 easy, which is like for first-time players.
Yeah. Multiple reviews gave praise to Underground for being like the perfect starting point in the series. I definitely feel the same about that. When people ask me, hey, I want to get into Tony Hawk, where should I start? I go, play Thug. Play Thug 1, play Thug 2, either one, doesn't matter. Great points.
Big open levels, kind of forgiving. Yeah, overall, a really good starting point.
Many folks complained that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 was being too hard, and just as a result, they added all the tutorials and the beginner difficulty for the first-timers to the series in Thug. The massive levels were created by the Neversoft team, expanding the level until it stopped running correctly, and then shrinking it down a little. The levels were also usually based on real-world locations, with the team at Neversoft going to locations and taking photos and videos.
Yeah, I believe the Jersey level is literally based on, like, a neighborhood that one of the guys used to, like, live in when he was a young skater, which is super cool.
Which is crazy. You think about that, you know, when you look back at the levels now, knowing that information, Jersey really seems real. Manhattan really seems like Manhattan.
Yeah, like, Moscow, stuff like that, right? Yeah, like they went places and took photos and videos and just like probably got to have an awesome vacation doing research for their skating video game. Which
Tampa
is cool.
Really felt like Florida in all the worst and great ways.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about the plot, since this time it's not just a skateboarding game. This time there really is a story, and it's the first time we're seeing that. Our story begins in a rundown section of New Jersey. So the whole state, this is laugh line. Everybody laughs because New Jersey sucks. Ha ha ha. Sorry to my extended family who lives in Jersey.
Hamilton said that everything's legal in New Jersey.
I've been there. It's honestly pretty nice. I like the mix of cities. You got some like rural kind of farm stuff a little bit, and then the beach is right there.
There are people actively frothing at the mouth because you said that.
Look, everybody who said New Jersey sucks, go hang out in New Jersey for like a weekend in like a nice rural like townhouse or something and have a great time, and then come and talk to me. We begin in New Jersey, where our protagonist, he's trying to make it big as a pro skater. Who isn't, huh? In this day and age.
Right?
But when Chad Muska comes to town, you impress him with your skills. That's right.
X Games, mother.
Exactly, yeah. Mr. Muska is about to be blown away by your street skating skills, and he recommends that you get sponsored by the legendary Stacy Peralta.
The Stacy Peralta?
Yeah, you find him, like, doing yoga on a mailbox.
Talk about, like, the ultimate skate shop sponsor.
He's like, hey, kid, go do some missions, and I'll maybe sponsor you. But so after, like, winning some local competitions, stuff like that, you do get sponsored, but you wind up on the run from a local gang because of Eric's tomfoolery. And so you have to leave town and go to Manhattan. So then in Manhattan, you make a skate video that impresses Stacy Peralta. And you impress him so much, he gives you a van and says, hey, maybe you should go to Tampa and participate in the Tampa Am competition. But as you head down there, Eric, what a fool, gets arrested. So now you have to do some goals and bail him out. Talk to everybody in Tampa. The mayor's like, oh, vote for me. And then later you're like, I'm going to tear your signs down, sucker. There's a very funny goal where you grind on a car and people are having sex in it, and it makes sexy noises.
Yeah, like I said in the beginning, Florida and all its greatness is just captured here perfectly.
So you get him out of jail, and then you go to the tournament. But, oh my gosh, how embarrassing. When you get there, it's revealed Eric only filled out his own application. Oh, that's so crazy. He did it on purpose because he secretly harbors a grudge against how good of a skater you are. I'm sure that plot point won't happen anymore in this story. So now you have to impress all the pros to get into the tournament. So you go skate with the man himself, Tony Hawk, and you lay it down. He's like, whoa, kid, you're pretty good. I'll definitely be watching you compete later. And you're like, oh, man, I don't have a ticket. My friend's like a total douche and didn't sign me up. And Tony's like, I'll talk to the judges and see what I can do.
I love how they just, like, casually put Tony in here. Like, everyone's just like, yeah, Tony, whatever.
Yeah, it's just like, imagine it was like, oh, Tampa Am, this is pretty cool, right? Well, I'm going to go skate a little bit. And Tony Hawk's like, hey, what's up, man? You want to skate with me? You're like, dude, that's a freaking legendary skateboarder, Tony Hawk.
I never learned to skate. I was able, I can push around on a board and stuff. I can't do tricks or ollie or anything like that, right? Manualing out of the question. If I saw Tony Hawk just like randomly out and about, I don't care, man. I'm gonna fanboy. That dude is so cool. He's like, I don't know what, 55 now?
Older than that, I think.
Is he?
Yeah,
he's still skating, which is the crazy thing.
Yeah, he did his last 900 maybe a couple of years ago. He was like, this is going to be my last 900. And it took him a lot of tries, and he was like bailing hard on like trying to do this 900. But Tony Hawk talks to the judges, and he gets you into the competition, where you go on to win the best trick competition. This Eric Sparrow does not like this. Your friend Eric Sparrow, he's mad that you won the best trick competition. But then, since you won, you get sponsored, babe, like real sponsored. Sorry, Stacy Peralta, I'm getting big sponsors now. So then you get to pick your sponsor. They show some like sponsor videos so you can kind of decide who you want to go with. I don't remember all of them. There's Birdhouse, Flip,
Girl Power, I think.
Yeah, I think it's
Or Girl, I think is what it's just called.
Girl. Element was one because Bam skates for Elements. Yep. Yeah, I think there was maybe one more. I'm pretty sure there's 5. But yeah. So you get to pick your own brand that you get sponsored by, which is fun. No matter what you pick, the levels are going to stay the same. You're just going to kind of get some different gear for your custom skater. Yeah, so you pick that, and then you head out to the skate complex in San Diego to do some photo ops. Do a bunch of missions there, a bunch of photo ops. There's kind of a skate jam where a bunch of people are taking photos. But then you find out, oh no, whoops, what a mix-up. Your skate sponsor also hired Eric Sparrow because he's so good at skating.
Boo!
So now Eric shows up again, and he's going to be around, and it's going to be awesome. So then, after your photo op, boom, we're going to Hawaii, baby.
Hawaii!
Yeah, they go to Hawaii, which is, what a classic skate location, huh? Hawaii. So many beaches and mountains and volcanoes. So many great spots to
Everything
skate.
screams skate.
Absolutely.
Skater heaven.
How could it not, right? So, you go to Hawaii to make a film, and everybody has to kind of separately... I don't think this is how skate videos are made, just for reference. Everybody has to go separately film their parts. I mean, I think to some extent that's true. You know, they'd be like, hey, Eric Costin, go film your part. But I feel like other people would be there, right? Like, if I was on the same team as you, and you're like, hey, I'm going to go out Thursday and film. It depends, right? Because it's like, if we all decided...
It depends. I also think, like, in the story, as of right now, here in Hawaii, we are still amateur skaters.
Yeah, like, we're like, yeah, so, yeah, we're not pros yet. We're trying to prove ourselves on the team.
I think technically, like, maybe, like, in the game, we obviously don't have this, but, like, in theory, you would have, like, another skater with you and maybe a photographer, videographer.
And that's what Eric is. Eric is kind of filming, like, your part and stuff like that.
And so I think for, like, amateur skaters who don't have a huge presence but show a lot of potential, you know, maybe they split them up going, hey, grab some friends, go try to find some crazy line.
For sure. If you got a skate team of 20 kids or whatever who are like trying to make their way, yeah, you know, send them, you know, groups of 3 or whatever, right?
And then Mike Valley has like the paparazzi following him around, basically.
Right. I'm just saying.
Tony Hawk shows up and everyone's like, oh!
I'm just saying, right? Like, you're like some pro skater. You got some up and coming kids. You might want to go watch those kids do their stuff and be like, whoa, these kids are, you know, like, these kids are got a good head on their shoulders, right? Or giving pointers or tips. Again, I don't know how the real world of skating looks like literally at all, but I just feel like some camaraderie there.
In the
Anyway.
videos we watched, I saw like Mike Valley, he grabbed like a bunch of like people to skate with, none that were huge notoriety.
That's what I'm saying. In the skate videos, usually it's like some dude lands a trick and then the 20 people watching him were like, oh, that was sick and crazy, right? So it's like, I wanted more. I think that needs to be approached a little bit more. And we get a little bit more of that in Thug 2, where like there are teams, so you have this more of a close-knit sense of camaraderie in some ways. But anyways, you go to Hawaii to film your part of the video. And you have to try and skate an unknown spot, and that's kind of the whole goal of the video. And so you find the perfect spot. You're going to jump from you're going to drop like 10 stories into a jump over a helicopter, do a McTwist, landing on the roof of a building opposite of the courtyard.
This is all feasible,
100%
real.
Completely something that I believe Tony Hawk could do in real life is drop down 10 stories into a quarter pipe, jump over a active spinning helicopter blades, do a McTwist, and then land it clean on the other roof like 60 feet away.
Also in the same level, there's one where you jump from the top of the hotel, which is like 20 stories high or something.
Oh, you go into the pool, right?
Well, no, you acid drop from one point, which is just like falling down into like the ramp. You do that, you acid drop off the tallest point, go down, skate across the road hoping you don't hit a car or a car hits you, and then spinal transfer up into like the pool on top of the other hotel on the opposite side.
Yeah, which is totally real. Real skaters can do that. So
yep.
You do the trick. You jump over the helicopter, do the McTwist. Eric films it. It's great. So now Eric's going to edit the video together, and they're all going to head to Vancouver to go to the Slam City Jam, which is like a big competition, and they're going to debut the sweet video at Slam City Jam. So then, when you go to Slam City Jam in Vancouver, they show the video. Uh-oh, how embarrassing. Eric accidentally edited your part of the video out. Man, that sucks. Guess you'll never be a pro skater now. So you argue with Eric. He's become a pro. All the AM skaters became pros from the Slam City video. They get their own skate decks and blah, 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 right? And you're just left on the sidelines. So you argue with Eric and go, dude, I know you hate me. This is bullcrap, right? So he's holding a pro competition. So you enter his competition to show him up and you win. You win his pro competition and you become a pro. Boom, take that, Eric. I, too, am now a professional skater. You design your own skateboard deck and you join your team. So you join back up with your same team in Moscow. Yippee! Woo! You're going to enter this tournament in Moscow. But once you get there, of course, Eric gets into trouble. Again, classic Eric. He crashes a tank, and you get in to help him, but you can't control it either. So Eric gets out of the tank. He runs away. You wind up, the tank crashes because of Eric. You're stuck in the tank. You get found out in the tank, and they blame you, and you get arrested. They put your bail at $700,000, and your team is like, not a chance, dude. Am I spending $700,000?
He's been on the team for a week. We're not spending $10.
Yeah, exactly. They leave. They head on out. But luckily, the American embassy bails you out, but tells you that you got to find your own way home. We don't mind bailing you out, but you got to get your own ticket back to Jersey. So you do a bunch of tricks, goals, stuff like that to earn enough money to get back to Jersey.
All right, so here's my thing. We were talking about, transferring off a 20-story hotel and stuff. I can't just let my mind perceive the fact that the American embassy goes, oh, $700,000 criminal fine on your bail? We got that covered.
$400 plane ticket? Yeah, good luck, dude.
Yeah.
You figure it out, man.
Like, you want to talk about real unrealistic, things happening in this game? That's it there. Our government going, nah, fam, we got you.
Yeah, really. So, you get back to Jersey. That's your whole plan. Just go home. Just sit down. And you've had a long, bumpy ride, right? But when you get back to Jersey, it's there where Eric, who's now CEO of his own skate company, people move fast in the skate world, I'll be honest. They're not only 2 weeks ago, this guy was just some bum in Jersey, and now the man is CEO of his own skate company. But Eric reveals he had been planning on betraying you the whole time. What? Who could have seen this coming?
Oh, no.
He had long ago left the idea of soul skating behind, skating for the love of the sport, right? He had left that behind, and instead he has opted to skate for money. Cha-ching, cha-ching. Which is the first time anybody's decided to do that. Nobody, I don't think anybody starts skateboarding and be like, I could make so much freaking money off of this. I think that's like an afterthought. That's like a Rob Dyrdek thing, where it's like,
yep.
I'm going to be a skateboarder, now I'm going to use skateboarding to launch a successful entertainment career off of that, right? Like, I don't think you start being like, dude, I'm going to skateboard, and I'm going to be such a rich and famous skateboarder.
It's also funny. I think a lot of people forget that he used to like be a professional skateboarder before he did like
I feel like there are going to be people who probably listen who had no idea Rob Dyrdek, the MTV personality
of ridiculousness.
He was a skateboarder. Like, he's in, like, the first skate game, or, like, some of the skate games. He's, like, in those as a skater, because that's what he did. So Eric reveals that he's only in it for the money, and he also reveals that he stole the helicopter footage from Hawaii and was working against you the whole time, which was, again, if you've been playing the game, extremely obvious that he was betraying you. But you don't give up. You work together with a bunch of pros, and you make a sweet skate video, and you design your own trick, which is really fun. We didn't use it a lot, and you probably won't either, but you can design your own trick, and you can just add tricks to the trick. So it's like, you'll do like a sack tap, and then you'll make them like do a backflip. And you can combine like 4 tricks into one mega trick, and you can make it like short or long, or, you know, it is really interesting customizability they added to this. Because we'll see this later, in some of the later PS2 titles, there's like create a trick stuff. Project 8 and Proving Ground have just like...
Also, like, the big thing
stuff
for the create trick is that if you make like this big huge trick, you can put that into like your combos and just like combo an insane amount. You know, your trick could go from 1,000 points to 5,000 real fast.
Yep. You make your own trick, and then you make your own video with all the pros, and the video takes off, goes super viral, and it pisses Eric off so much that he comes out and decides to challenge you with the winner of the challenge getting the helicopter footage. And once you play the final mission, which is not easy, you beat him once and for all, establishing your skate legacy. But if you already beat the game once, you beat it again, Eric will say the whole thing saying, I've got the helicopter footage, and you have to beat my combo, beat my line here to get the tape. Instead, you don't do that. You just punch him in the face and tell him to screw off.
That honestly is the correct answer in this situation.
Pretty much.
Eric Sparrow is basically gone down in video game history as one of the most hated video game characters ever. That's how well they writ him.
Yeah, he's annoying. And we'll see, unfortunately, more of him later in different games. But why don't we talk about the price for this game?
Thug, big, huge. Everyone who plays Tony Hawk knows about this game. Has to be expensive, right? Well, not quite, which is good. I actually prefer it to be a cheap game because everyone should be able to get to play this. Also, you know, it's from PS2. So.
I think this game should be $9 million. My name's Eric Sparrow. This game should be $9 million.
I have a sealed grade 10 copy of Underground themselves for $3.5 million.
Signed by Tony Hawk, Bam Margera, and Kareem Campbell.
Okay, now we're actually starting to get into like it might be worth a lot. All right. So, PS2, this is Black Label, loose, $8.23. Very reasonable. You want to complete, you're looking at $10.74.
Not too far off. I think we sell it for like $12.
Yep. I think I was just in there today. I was in there today. I looked and I saw that you had a copy on the shelf for $12.
No instructions, though. Sadness.
Sad face. The Red Label, which is the copy you own, is $9.50 loose. So, we're starting to see that kind of like... The Red Label is a little bit more here. And then Complete is $12.33.
We should really look into this and find out why the Red Label Platinum Hit stuff is more expensive.
Well, sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. I think it has a lot to do with potentially them fixing something
patches,
right?
Patches and stuff like that.
You know, we were playing around just today even with it. And
I glitched through that fence.
Yeah, you glitched straight through the fence.
I was going so fast, I bailed, and then the guy, he fell through the fence, which was pretty good.
So I think there's like some things that they're obviously might be fixing in post there because, you know, this is before you could just download a patch.
Tony Hawk's Underground version 1.003-2.
Yeah, something crazy like that. It also came out on the Xbox original, looking at loose of $5.51 and complete $6.19. So much less.
Yes.
Platinum is the Red Label for the Xbox, but it's, you know, nice and platinum. Loose $6.96 and complete $9.24. So we're seeing it again there. So I definitely would think it'd probably be a patch update.
Yeah, something in the second version or something that people want.
All right, here comes the GameCube.
Dreaded GameCube.
So we all have this thing going on here where we just kind of know the GameCube costs more. No getting around it, right?
The discs are fragile. Things break on them easy. They're a Nintendo console, which inherently pretty much makes them more valuable because it's what a lot of kids had growing up.
So loose, $9. What? $9?
It's not bad. Yeah, we're kind of right in the ballpark.
All right, well, let's look at complete, because that usually changes a lot, right?
$45.
$45.
That's my guess.
Well, sir, it is actually $13.27.
Wow, that's completely affordable.
That's like PS2.
It's almost like, and this is going to be a radical concept here, it's almost like they made a lot of copies of this game, and it was very widely played, which means it was not very expensive because they made a bunch of them.
Okay, so going off our last two here, we have a player's choice, which is their greatest hits version, right?
Which is, we talked about this in Pro Skater 3, I think. It's kind of nuts. This game got all three, like, platinum hits. Like, it got greatest hits on all the consoles it was on.
We should be expecting to see a little bit higher, right?
Yeah.
Is from what we're kind of seeing, right?
Yeah.
Loose, $9.71. 71 cents more. It's basically $1 more.
Not much more. Yeah.
Okay. Complete. There we go. That has to be like a couple bucks more at least,
17
right?
or something.
$13.85. We're talking like 50 cents.
Super bizarre. I bought a bunch of the, like, pretty much every Tony Hawk GameCube game I could, like, maybe like 6 months ago when they're all kind of cheap still, so.
Since we've been doing Hawktober here, my big thing is just buying up all of the Tony Hawk games I've been missing, because, man, I forgot how much I miss these things.
I picked up American Skateland on the DS, and I dread the day we have to play that.
A challenger approaches here. We have one that people might not know about. Thug came out on the GBA, the Game Boy Advance. All right, I didn't know that initially going into this, so that has to be kind of expensive, right?
Must be.
Loose, $4.37.
Well, complete has to be crazy expensive because complete Game Boy Advance stuff is tough to find.
Cardboard boxes, all those little instructions.
Impossible to find a nice shape.
$18.31.
I buy, dude. If one of those came into work, I would buy that for $20 immediately.
Yeah,
absolutely, in a heartbeat.
It's just kind of crazy, like. Yeah, it was really well played and everything, and people loved it and bought a ton of it, but these prices are low.
Yeah.
I mean, like, real low. Like, in my head, this game is worth $20. Easy. And this is below that amount, which, you know, man, start throwing it at people like, here, you have a copy, you have a copy, you have a copy.
Got $8? Sure, go play an amazing skateboarding game, right? Well, let's talk a little bit here.
Let's talk about the music.
I would love to.
I will list all the tracks alphabetically.
Okay, well, maybe, like, instead we should just mention some of the bigger bands, like The Clash, Sublime, Deltron 3030, Jane's Addiction.
No, I'm going to list them all alphabetically here. So, starting with the Aceyatone Raps on the Deck, Alkaline Trio, Armageddon, Anacron.
Okay, well, Alex is going to go on a musical deep dive. Let's just go fast in Eric Sparrow's Speed Corner. All right, so let's talk about this. 99% of the speedruns are on PC. I assume just because load times are way faster on that. There was some on PS2, but really, it's like 99% of runs are on PC. So the fastest run is any percent beginner runs. And right now, the first place is 32 minutes and 49 seconds by Canadian runner Schnaz. And then going from there, another big category, any percent no warp on beginner is 35 minutes and 52 seconds by Schnaz. And then we also have all story goals beginner is 48 minutes and 26 seconds by also Schnaz. And all of those three, I just read the beginner ones. There is normal and sick runs as well on each of those, which kind of like increases anywhere from like maybe a couple to like 5 to 10 minutes overall, maybe 20 on some of them. And then there's 100%. So 100% is you do all the story goals, you beat the game on every difficulty, unlock everything, do all the gaps. The current run for that is 1 hour and 24 minutes by Schnaz. And you're going to say, wow, Schnaz has a lot of these world records. Let me tell you, Schnaz holds first in every category on every difficulty. It's insane. This Canadian speedrunner owns Thug. It is his game. But let's check back in with Alex and see how he's doing on the music.
LA Symphony, Hong Kong, Living Legends, War Games, Macedon, Crush Destroyer, Mike V and the Rats, The Days, Mr. Complex, Underground Up, Mr. Dibs.
Did you do them all, or
we're only halfway through.
We're only halfway through. Let's be done. The bit was funny. And now we're halfway through, and I already completed my thing. So now the bit's over. Don't say any Mike v. the Rats. Let it be the last one. Don't say anymore. Don't you? You're making a face. This is like a visual gag that's happening now. You're making a face, and the face says, "I'm going to read more musicians."
All right. Fine. I'll stop
There's
the bit.
There's
75 tracks, man.
And potentially more hidden ones in cheat codes or something like that.
Yeah, there's also one that we don't list, if you were to hear my mumbling, is that Kiss God of Thunder is not listed on the subtrack because you can only listen to it in a single level. No, there was like some really big ones, right? The Clash, like we said, Sublime, Rise Against was in there, like just, big names, Nos. Just huge names. This soundtrack is amazing, honestly. Just, trying to, talk seriously about it.
It's good. If I had to rate this soundtrack, I would rate it lower than Pro Skater 3, I think, but it is still good.
I would call this an easy 8 out of 10 for a soundtrack. I mean, I remember this soundtrack front to back, basically, in my head.
Yep. Let's talk about what we think about this big, beautiful game.
Well, I have to start here by saying this game is where my love for the Tony Hawk series truly starts. With a killer soundtrack that shaped the music that I listen to now and the styles that influenced my youth, it's no wonder why this is my favorite Tony Hawk game of all. The story is what sold this game to me and how fun and ridiculous it is in the series. This is the first time we got a full-fledged story, and man, did they go hard when writing this. I can't say enough.
Sometimes they this. Then sometimes they go, the Stacy Peralta.
You could, people could talk down this game to me all they want. This is my favorite Tony Hawk game.
Well, see, that's the thing is, I'm like, Underground's so silly, and I'm like, I really like Tony Hawk Underground 2, which is just, insane. That makes, dude, if Underground 2 makes this game seem like Schindler's List. But yeah, this one wasn't really my favorite from this era, but I still have to respect what Underground brought to the table. A fleshed out, sometimes down-to-earth story about an amateur skater trying to make it big, and the, issues that arise from doing that. The issues being mainly your shitty friend, Eric Sparrow, who's just, ruining your life. But the story is really what I love about some of the later titles, Thug 2, Thaw, American Wasteland, right? On all those stories began with this one, our first fully fledged story here in Thug. And even like we had mentioned, Eric Sparrow shows up in some of the later games. I played Underground 2 before I played Underground 1. So I was like, this guy is kind of like a prick. And then I just played Underground 1, and I was like, wow, he really is a prick. No wonder. His backstory is
Look,
good.
I have one thing and one thing only to say about Eric Sparrow. That man can just go huff it. Oh my god. Eric Sparrow is the reason I don't like the villains of Tony Hawk. He encompasses everything bad and awful, and the alternate ending is really just gives me such joy just seeing us lay him out across the sidewalk. God, that dude is so annoying.
That should have been chapter 1.
It should have been the first thing we did. We got the Tampa, he got arrested, he signed himself up without us. Man, first thing we should have done, bam, just straight laid him out.
Yeah, what? Also, how cocky do you have to be to get arrested, get bailed out by your buddy, and then be like, also, I still didn't sign you up, get screwed, man. It's like, dude, I just bailed you. I could have just let you rot in prison, man.
He's the worst antagonist I ever had the displeasure of having to play against.
Right.
An awful character. But if we didn't have Eric Sparrow in the game, it definitely would not have been as good as it is.
Dude, Eric Sparrow had to walk so Paulie and Thug 2 could run. Yeah. No more grinding on wood chippers, Paulie? But no, let's talk about the game and the individuality. The whole game, literally, the overarching theme is individuality.
This is you playing. Literally, you make yourself in the game.
The story starts with you making a custom character. You make yourself in the game. Not just that. This game obviously stands out individually from the previous titles. You could make a custom skater in 4, but it wasn't required. You could play as Tony Hawk or Bob Burnquist or any of those guys, right? So this game literally is emphasizing the individuality, not just of you, but of the game within the series. They are breaking the mold, right? And making a story, cutscenes, voice acting, whole deal. You make your own skater, you make your own board, you make your own trick in the story. You can make your own park. The park editor is bigger and better than ever in Thug. That was part of the fun.
So many years of my childhood just spent in the create a park section.
Yeah, it's part of the fun was making levels and sharing them with your friends. Hey, look at this park I made, right? You can make your own player character, and the story's about that player character kind of figuring out their style and learning to navigate, like doing something you as a kid might be like, skateboarding's super fun, but trying to navigate that into the adult world and be like, what do I do if I want to make skateboarding like my career and not just my passion, right? And then having to distance yourself from someone you considered a friend, right? Like, this whole game is about growing up in individuality and, doing what you love. And it really sticks true to that thing. I think this is kind of a game and a story that came when a lot of us as kids, needed to hear something like this. Like, you can take something you love doing and turn it into your job with enough passion and gumption, right? But sometimes you're going to have to, watch out, put the hater blockers on, and watch out for the haters, man.
I've played this game, in all honesty, probably 10 to 15 times, front to back. I just beat it again for the podcast episode now, and I am thinking about going back and replaying it once again.
You gonna get all the gaps and stuff, man?
Just try to get all the gaps.
It's gonna take forever. Dude, you gotta follow guides for that stuff. Some of these are so tough.
I hadn't touched Underground in probably 10 years before today. It's been that long since I picked up, one of my favorite childhood games. And I remember every level, all the little, crazy little secret things. I just remembered it all. It never went away. I've been playing this for the last 10 years prior. The levels are what are so memorable. I knew Jersey inside and out, Manhattan inside and out, Hawaii inside and out. I played this so much that my childhood just relives within this game. And it's very rare for a game to possess that much pull, especially for me.
I would agree with that. The story never really grabbed me in this one. Like I said, I had Underground 2 first. So even though it's super silly, I always liked that more. I found that more charming, that the whole game did not take itself seriously. But I agree with you on that. The levels stand out. It's not my favorite level design they've ever done in any of the Tony Hawks, but you can clearly tell they're exploring the space. So they're making these huge levels. I mean, we talked about this in Pro Skater 3. Pro Skater 3, if we compare it to Pro Skater 1 and 2, levels are huge.
Giant.
Insane big.
Especially for your 2 minutes that you get in each level.
Yeah. And
crazy.
There are some big levels in 1 and 2, but 3 took it to the next level. 4, same thing. 3 and 4 kind of on the same level with big levels. The Thug makes it insane. These levels are massive, and that's why in 4, they took away the timer. Because they're we want to put, 20 goals in each level, and also we're going to make the goals harder. Same with this. They're we're not going to have a 2-minute timer. Obviously, you couldn't beat everything. We want to have it, story-based. And so the levels are kind of based around that. So you're going to have, a vertical part where you're going to do competitions and spine transfers and stuff like that. And then you're going to have this, big open area to do, manuals and flatland tricks and stuff like that. So there's kind of, each level has, pieces that all kind of go together where you're going to do specific missions, which is not my favorite style of how they've done levels, but some of them are memorable and stick out. Like you had mentioned, Jersey, Moscow, Tampa, I really like. Even, San Diego, stuff like that. A lot of those I remember pretty clearly. And I do really like some of the levels. Not all of them, but some of them. Let's get into some fun facts. Like with most games in the series, there are some haters.
I know a secret.
What's the secret?
The secret is you can play as pedestrians.
Whoa. How?
You got to get all the gaps.
Yeah, see in 900 hours. Great. I can play as freaking security guard number 3. All I have to do is do every gap in the
You can play as DJ Qbert.
You could play as DJ Qbert. Well, you can play as, if you beat the game on Sick, you get Thud, who is the fish man who eats Eric Sparrow
in
the beginning.
A 50s, it came from the swamp.
Exactly. And so, it's also a reference to Chud, which is a 80s, grimy horror guy. Then you get Gene Simmons if you beat it on normal. That's also a whole thing because there's a Kiss secret level if you beat the game. And then if you beat the game on beginner, you get Iron Man, who is in only 5 games, he's our 3rd Marvel rep. You could play as Spider-Man in 2 from the PS1 game. And then you could play as Wolverine in 3 or 4? One of those you could play as Wolverine.
3.
You could play as Wolverine, and I could play as Iron Man. It's funny because he's old, 90s, early 2000s Iron Man. So obviously he does not look like Robert Downey Jr. modern Iron Man. So it is kind of funny.
Still, cool, I like the retro look on him.
Yeah,
good.
He looks pretty good. There's also some hidden Neversoft skaters. When you start the game, you have to make your custom skater, right? If you name your character a certain name, you can find a list online. I'll link to like a list below. They'll transform into like a pre-made character with a unique bio. Most of these are like Neversoft developers or like nicknames of Neversoft developers.
I literally watched, I think it was like a 20-minute video about each like secret character and like, oh, that's this developer, and oh, this, you know, we believe to be this developer because he used to go by this nickname, and like they're so intricate. There's so many like little bit like, oh, it might be this person or it might be that person.
Yeah, and some of them are just like, it's like if you name him Arg or something, he becomes like a pirate guy.
Arg.
Yeah, so some of them are just like not references to developers. They're all super fun things and silly kind of like fun things where if you name it a specific thing, it'll change them. This is the last game to feature certain pro skaters: Kareem Campbell, Rune Glifberg, Bucky Lasik, Alyssa Steamer, and Jamie Thomas. Those guys weren't in another like Tony Hawk game until the remakes of Pro Skater 1 and 2. Tell me about hidden levels.
Hidden levels, there are 3 that you can unlock. The first one is Hangar from Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. You got School 1 from Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1, and Venice Beach from Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. And then, like, you know, the Kiss Arena is a secret level, technically. You gotta beat the game to get that one.
Yep. And you can get those that are just like hidden little collectibles. You literally just be like a little square icon.
Yep.
And you go pick it up and it goes like, you unlocked a classic level.
My favorite one is the one in Hawaii.
You gotta go through the tiki's mouth. I didn't
Yeah.
know. You were like, jump into the tiki. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I jumped into the tiki. I was like, what? I've never been. You're like, you didn't know about the tiki? I'm like, no, I had no clue.
I found that when I was a kid and it scared the crap out of me at
It's
first.
scary. It's like a bunch of flames and stuff. Yeah, it's kind of scary.
A bunch of like demonic groaning too. And you're
Yeah.
just like, oh god.
That's pretty spooky.
There's also
We kind of mentioned this. But.
yeah, we kind of mentioned this. The character creator in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4, but this is the first time it requires you to make your own character. You have to.
You didn't have to in Pro Skater 4. You could make your own if you wanted. The character creator is a ton of fun in that, and same thing, it is a ton of fun in this, too. It's pretty much the same thing.
And if I remember correctly, I think after you beat the game, you get to unlock a little bit more, you know, each time you play it, I think.
Yeah, and every
each
time
level.
you go through, you can pick a new, like, brand to get sponsored by to get their merch and stuff like that.
But there is something fun in this. It's been a while since we had to talk about one, and that is, there's a demo in this game. Ooh. It is the demo for MTX Moto Tracks.
We did so bad. We're not good at this game.
So here's the thing. This is a very unique way of doing it, because the last time we talked about this was on Burnout 3, where we had the Need for Speed 2 Underground
demo, and that was really bad.
Yeah, which was really bad. This is just like a single level that you race around, a single track that you race around. So it looks nice, you know, they did a good job, it runs well. But if you place first in this demo, you get a secret code that you can get. And you would go to the MTX Moto Tracks website and type in that code, and it gives you a cheat for the Tony Hawk game. Well, guess what's no longer operational?
Is it the website? mtxmototracks.com?
It is the website. You can't go to it anymore.
Dang, you gotta pay those website fees, man.
So I went through some serious digging, and I was like, man, there has to be a thing. Because the secret code it gives you is called Hole Shot, which I guess in...
That was the song or something that was playing.
Yeah,
it
also
popped up or something, and the screen it said Hole Shot.
Yeah, also in, I think, MBX racing, Hole Shot means someone that took like an early lead.
Sure.
I guess that's what it means. You get this, and then if you were to put it through the discombobulator on...
we went to the Wayback Machine.
The Wayback Machine. It would give you the code DigiVid, which gives or unlocks all of the hidden videos.
It unlocks all the cutscenes and stuff you do by unlocking. Normally you would do them by unlocking, you know, get all the gaps and you unlock a video and stuff like that, right? So
let's talk about some ratings, huh?
I would love to. Metacritic gave it a 90 out of 100. Famitsu gave it a 33 out of 40, which is a weird rating system. Game Informer gave it a 9.25 out of 10. Wish we could stay consistent on these guys. Why are we giving a 9.25? Just give it like a 9, all right? I don't like that. Or a 9.5. That would make sense. GameSpy gave it a 4 out of 5. GameZone gave it a 9.5 out of 10. IGN gave it a 9.5 out of 10. And of course, PlayStation Magazine gives their own game a 10 out of 10. But then, not to be outdone here, Eurogamer gives it a 7 out of 10. Thanks, Europe. Who asked you, man? Who asked you, Europe?
You could definitely tell that skating wasn't as popular over there as it was here.
Oh, pip pip cheerio. I don't think that Tony Hawk character can really do a McTwist over an helicopter. We don't have them helicopters here in England. I never seen a man jump over an helicopter like that.
God save the Queen.
Exactly. Oh, they could never do a 50-50 grind on the Queen. I know that much.
You go to Britain and you grind the Queen, just kiss the rail off the top of her crown.
Off her hat. Off her big hat.
Underground also won Best Sports Game of 2003 back at E3, as well as the Best Video Game Soundtrack from the MTV Music Video Awards.
They made that category that year. They were like, what if we made a best music video, or what if we made a best video game soundtrack category for the MTV Music Video Awards? And then they just gave it to Underground.
I mean, it deserves it 110%. Also, there was some online multiplayer functions.
Yeah, returning from the previous titles.
It's
you could do
always weird to see that.
You could do multiplayer. There was like graffiti, skate, stuff like that. All the kind of classic game modes return for that. But why don't we talk about our favorites and least favorites of Ye Olde Thug 1?
Ye Olde Thug 1.
Prithee, my lord, Tony Hawk come to bring you his next video game.
Alright, so I'm just going to be real here.
The game sucks.
This is my favorite Tony Hawk game. I love this game. There is nothing better, in my opinion, as far as Tony Hawk games or skating games go. I cannot give it a more than just a badge of glory in my mind that you could hand me, the only way this game could get better is if they remade it like they did 1 and 2.
We all wish. We can all wish.
We can all wish. The last level gave me tons of, irritation stuff. Took a crack at it. We're able to, get it pretty easily.
Beat it first try like a champion.
I got pretty close. It was just very frustrating, but I kept going back. I kept trying. There wasn't a moment that I was like, I'm not going to play this game anymore.
This sucks. Yeah, you're like, I'm just going to keep doing it.
I think I texted you at one point going, I'm rage quitting right now, but I'm going to have to go back.
Yeah. Well, now wait till you go do all the gaps, man. That's the fun part where you just skate around and do all the gaps.
So, game 10 out of 10 for me. You can't change my mind. I'm sorry.
You're not going to give it a Famitsu 33 out of 40?
I'm going to give it a Famitsu 45 of 40.
Wow, my goodness. No, you should give it a 45.25 out of 40.
45.25 out of 40.
All right, so my favorite thing about this game is the controls. This is kind of the first, when we talk about PS2 Tony Hawk, this is the first one to really, in some ways, kind of begin nailing it. So we have the get off your board, stuff like that, which is going to become prominent in later games. Thug 2, Thaw are both heavily going to feature getting off your board and doing things off of your board. But yeah, this is the beginning of the era where the gameplay is nailed down. They can focus on stuff like the story with more of their resources. And it shows, obviously, they're like, we're going to do a fully voice-acted story. We're going to do cutscenes in the game. We're going to add all this extra stuff in to entice players. As well as the customization aspect, making your own park, making your own trick, all that stuff can get more resources from the team because we're focusing less on gameplay. My least favorite thing, though, about this game would have to be the walking and driving controls, which are wonky to say the least.
You're basically boating around on the pavement.
Yeah, all the vehicles just kind of glide across. There's not really fine controls here.
It wasn't horrible controls, but they were difficult at times.
It's not a Need for Speed or a Burnout, that's for sure.
Yes.
You could obviously tell that this is not the main crux of the game. And I think they get rid of that in the later games, right? I'm almost certain there is no driving in any of the later stuff. American Wasteland has BMX stuff, but it is completely different than the vehicle stuff.
I think this is the only Tony Hawk game with vehicles.
For good reason. And then same with the walking. You get off your board, and sometimes you just try and walk straight, and you just start walking at an angle, and it's awful. There's a lot of things, though, you can mantle on stuff and hang off of things. So even if you fall down off a thing, usually it's easy to kind of climb back up somewhere, and it can be nice to jump out, walk around, grab something, and combo off of something. Many times before I bailed, I would turn into walk mode, then you'd land normally, and then you could essentially run up to a quarter pipe, get on your board, jump out, and keep your combo going, which is kind of nice. And that's something we'll see later in a lot of stuff, is using that, getting off your board to help extend your combo, stuff like that. But yeah, they're not perfect. That would be my main issue here. Some of the missions where you have to maneuver around off your board are tough, mainly just because of those controls. But what did we talk about why it deserves backlog status?
Actually, I want to talk about one other thing before we do that.
Please. Amoeba. Is that what you wanted to talk about?
No.
Amoeba.
Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
Underground in its level design is like huge and expansive. There's tons of things to do, but there are definitely levels that don't flow well. Vancouver is very tough. It's very flat,
it's like
vertical.
Yeah, it's like a tiered level.
Moscow is very much the same way. It's very much a vertical level and stuff.
That's another one where it's also very much, you can tell, like, this is the part of the level with bowls. This is the part of the level where you grind. This is the part of the level where you manual around.
So the nice thing that they did, and I think they kind of saw this coming, is that we have two areas. We have Tampa and we have Slam City Jam, where you have literal skate parks to go and skate in. There's like tons of like areas and stuff, and you can definitely tell that like some of the levels are really tough to get combos in and stuff, and to make up for that, to give you like these little like breaks, these little bits of cookies, like here you go, here's something nice.
Here's a 15 to 20 minute section where you're just going to skate around on half pipes and quarter pipes and ramps and grinds, and all the levels are small and all flow well.
They brought back the competition aspect of it. They gave you a taste of like, hey, we didn't forget, guys. Here's still all this goodness.
Yeah, remember those competition levels from the earlier Pro Skater games? Boom, bringing those back.
And, it was nice to see that. It was very well done and thought about for the player side, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Why it deserves backlog status.
Yeah, please. So, Thug continues to evolve what a skateboarding game can be by introducing, as we've mentioned many times, a fully voice-acted, story-based skate adventure. Taking the best aspects of the previous game, Pro Skater 4, large levels, tons of goals, and dialogue, it makes one of the strongest entries from the PS2 era of Tony Hawk, and one of the ones most favorably remembered. If you're looking for the classic fun of Tony Hawk with a little more meat on the bone, we cannot recommend Thug enough. And Alex and I spoke before the podcast here. We both agree that on our Tony Hawk tier list, we should come up with a catchy name for this, like Thug or Thaw or something like that. We'll come out with that next episode. Week 3, we'll have the catchy name for the tier list. But our Tony Hawk tier list, we're putting Thug above Pro Skater 3, which means for both of us, our current list is Thug, and then Pro Skater 3 is below that.
Now, a lot of people I've seen online say, Pro Skater 3 better than Underground.
Okay, hello? Who's saying this? Eric Sparrow? I've never heard that before in my life.
It's a lot of places. It's really interesting to see, and I think just because of like level design and stuff.
I think it depends on what kind of game you want to play. If you want to play a single player story based adventure, I think you're gonna like obviously Thug more than Pro Skater 3. Well, I will say Pro Skater 3 is probably like the best out of the first 3 Pro Skaters, right? Without a doubt in my mind.
It's just that for us, it's the fact that you can take this story narrative, completely change up how we were doing things prior to this, and come out with something amazing that brings new people into it. It allows veterans to still be able to play on these like crazy things and do all these fun tasks. It just brought so much more to the series than what the previous games could offer. And that's why we're ranking it higher.
Yeah, this is something we both grew up, obviously, with, played a ton of, and that's why it ranks a little high for me. I played Pro Skater 3, I did Underground 2 and Underground 1. Story-based aspect, I was always kind of a single-player person, even though the story did not grab me as much as some of the later titles. I love this game. It's super fun to go back and play it, and interesting to see where a lot of my favorite Tony Hawk gets kind of the ideas from. And so we agree on that. And if you like Pro Skater 3 more than Thug, then you can shove off.
Yeah, don't make us Eric Sparrow you.
Yeah, we will Eric Sparrow you, and we'll cut all your footage out of the Slam City Jam tournament, and then you'll have to go live in Jersey forever and be sad. And we'll be skating just for the money. We don't even care about the fun of skating anymore. It's all about the cash, the paycheck at the end of the day.
Heck,
baby.
yeah. Stacy Peralta's over there with some other
doing
guy
some yoga on a mailbox.
And some dude walks up, he's like, "Are you the Stacy Peralta?"
Yeah. But we'll have some links below. I'm going to drop that list of like how to get all the cool developer skaters. I've got a video playlist linked below. Big shout out to a community member here named Big Law in the Thug speedrunning community. He has a whole playlist on like how you should set up your character, what special tricks you should be using to optimize stuff, and then he has an entire series about kind of the best routes to do the speedrun for. So definitely give those a watch. There's like a whole playlist of videos you could check out and learn how to run Thaw How to Run Thug, and there's not a lot of speedruns for some of this stuff. Some of these, like, harder categories only have maybe, like, 10 to 15 runs. So if you get, decent at it, it wouldn't be hard to place on the leaderboard for sure.
And then on top of that, we'll make sure to list all 75 tracks so that you can actually get to hear and see what those are. We'll put up our guide that has the top speed run, all the fun stuff that we could, think of.
If you have any suggestions, if you want to celebrate Hawktober with us and send us some thoughts about Tony Hawk games, stuff you want to see us play, let us know. We're planning on doing primarily just Tony Hawk for Hawktober. That might change once we start exhausting our Tony Hawk list. We might.
There is only so many Hawk games out there.
Oh, but the good news is there's so many other awful skateboarding games. One day we'll get to play Evolution Skating and skate around Mother Base's Solid Snake, which will be super exciting. Shaun White skateboarding and stuff like that. There's going to be tons of great stuff once we get there.
So much cringe and greatness all at the same time.
Yep. But that's pretty much going to be it for us here tonight. Again, we'll drop our email stuff below. Leave a comment, leave a like, tell your friends, tell Tony Hawk about Hawktober. Celebrate the glory that is Tony Hawk with us. One of our favorite childhood series.
We love you, Tony.
We love you, Tony. And Bob and Kareem and Jamie Thomas, Rune Glifberg. Any of you guys are out there. Alyssa Steamer. Anybody's out there listening to
Mike
us.
Valley.
Mike V and the Rats.
Mike V and the Rats, man.
We love you guys, and thanks for being such a big part of our childhood. And we'll see you next week on the next episode of Hawktober. Do you want to tell them what? Oh, should we break off a little piece of what we're playing?
Oh, why don't you do the honors?
Oh, I'd love to. We'll see you next week when we play a Tony's Secret Project. Goodbye. Project 8. Dying?
I'm dying.
Oh my goodness.
Oh God. Oh dear Lord. Oh, Todd Howard is coming for me now.
Oh no. Tony Hawk, Spirit of Tony Hawk is murdering you. It's Jamie Thomas. Jamie Thomas, they took him out of, he wasn't going to be a pro skater for 17 years, and now he's come to exact his revenge.
Oh, why, Tony? Why have you forsaken me? All right.